here's homework number 11, finding all characteristics of rational functions. So basically, y-intercept, horizontal asymptote, slant asymptote, whole, vertical asymptote, and x-intercept. So to find your guys' y-intercept, you guys have to set the x equals to 0. So set x equals 0. And then we plug everywhere you see an x, you guys plug in a 0. And what you guys will figure out is all that remains is the constant. So 20 over 5, you guys, is 4. Y-intercept, 0, 4. So there's that. To find your guys' horizontal asymptote, look at the degrees. So degree up top is 2, degree on the bottom is 1. So that means the numerator is greater than denominator. So horizontal asymptote is none, but we will have a slant because the degree up top is 1 degree higher than the bottom. So divide x squared plus 9x plus 20, all divided by x plus 5. X times x will give you guys x squared, so distribute that. We get x squared plus 5x. Subtract that, and we get 4x, because 9x minus 4x is 4x. Drop down to 20. And x times 4 would give you guys 4x. So our equation for the slant asymptote is going to be y equals x plus 4. So there we have that. Now let's factor this. So this is going to be x plus 4 times x plus 5 all over x plus 5. These cancel, so all we're left with is x plus 4. Pretty much over 1, right? All right. Okay, we have a whole. So set what we canceled equal to 0. Subtract 5 to both sides, and we get x equals -5. Plug this back into here so that we can find the y value of the whole. -5 plus 4, you guys, which is -1. -5 comma -1 is your guys' whole. Now, for your guys' vertical asymptote, set the denominator equals to 0, but since the denominator is 1, 1 cannot equals to 0, so this is going to be none. And then for x-intercept, you guys, set the numerator, which is x plus 4, equal to 0, and you guys subtract, and we get x equals -4. So as a coordinate, x-intercept, -4, 0. So there's number 1. Number 2, okay, so y-intercept, again, you set x equals to 0. Everywhere you see an x, it becomes a 0, but notice, you guys, all you're left with are the constants, -11 over 15. So 0, -11 over 15 is your guys' y-intercept. Horizontal asymptote, you guys look at the degrees. Degree of 1 is equals to degree of 1. So degrees are equal, which means you guys just look at the coefficients. Y equals 3/4. So because we don't have a horizontal asymptote, we won't have a slant. And now let's factor, but there's nothing to factor for this equation, you guys. So we have to find our whole. Now our whole, you guys, is none because we cannot cancel anything from top and from bottom. So there's our whole. Vertical asymptote, set the denominator equals to 0. So add 15 to both sides, divide both sides by 4. So x equals 15 over 4. 15 over 4, so that's the vertical asymptote. And for x-intercept, you set the numerator equals to 0. So subtract 11 from both sides and divide both sides by 3. So x equals -11 over 3. And as a coordinate, you guys, -11 over 3, 0. So there is the core 6, as I like to call it, for that, the 6 characteristics. Number 3. So y-intercept, again, set the set x equals to 0. So we're gonna get -2 times 0 minus 6, 0 squared plus 3 times 0. And when you guys do that, The only thing that will remain, you guys, is -6 up top over 0. You cannot divide by 0. So as a result, this is undefined. So y-intercept is going to be none. Horizontal asymptote. The numerator's degree, which is 1, is less than the denominator's degree, which is 2. So that means horizontal asymptotes, y equals 0. We won't have a slant. So now let's go for our factoring. So we can factor out a -2, and we'll get x plus 3. We can factor out an x to get x plus 3. These cancel, so our reduced equation is going to be -2 all over x. And I'm going to separate this so that we don't get confused with the other problem. So there's our reduced equation. So our whole, what did we cancel? X plus 3. So we're going to set what we canceled equals to 0. So x equals -3. And then we're going to plug in this into this equation so that we can find our y value of the whole. So -2 all over -3, which is 2/3. So our whole coordinate, -3 comma 2/3. Vertical asymptote, set the denominator equal to 0. So x equals 0 is going to be our vertical asymptote. And for the x-intercept, you guys, set the numerator equals to 0. So that means that is impossible. So x-intercept is none. So that's number 3. Now we got number 4. Okay, so for number 4, y-intercept, set x equals to 0, right? So set x equals to 0, so everywhere we see an x, it becomes a 0. 3 times 0 squared plus 10 times 0 plus 3, which is 15 over 3, which is 5. So y-intercept is 0, 5. Horizontal asymptote, the numerator's degree, which is 1, is less than the denominator's degree, which is 2. So y equals 0 for horizontal asymptote. Slant asymptote, that's a none. Half time, factor the top. You can factor out a 5, you guys, to get 5 times x plus 3. Now on the bottom, this is factoring by grouping. So if you forgot how to do that, a times c is 9. B is on the bottom. 9 times 1 is 9. Added together is 10. A is greater than 1, so 3x squared plus 9x plus x plus 3. Gotta group these, you guys. Factor out a 3x to get x plus 3. Factor out a 1 to get x plus 3. So 3x plus 1 times x plus 3. So that is going to be the factor of that one, you guys. And notice the x plus 3 is canceled, so we get 5 over 3x plus 1 as the reduced equation. Okay, so let's find our whole. So our whole, you guys, is set what we canceled equals to 0. So x plus 3, set that equal to 0. Subtract 3 to both sides, x equals -3. Now plug this in into the reduced equation to get our y value of the whole. So plug in 1 and plug in -3 into x. So we get 5 over -9 plus 1, which is -5 over 8. So as a coordinate, we have -3, -5/8. Vertical asymptote, set the denominator equals to 0. Subtract 1 to both sides. Divide both sides by 3. So x is equals to -1/3. And lastly, slant asymptote, you guys. Oh no, not slant. X-intercept, set the numerator equals to 0, which is, what is the numerator? It's 5, so 5 equals 0. That's impossible. So the answer is none. Okay. Number 5. Y-intercept, set x equals to 0. So everywhere we see an x, it becomes a 0. 2 times 0 squared minus 2. 0 squared plus 5 times 0 plus 5. So we get -2 all over 4, which is -1/2. So 0, negative 1/2 is your guys' y-intercept. Find your guys' horizontal asymptote. Both of the degrees are the same, so look at the coefficients. 2 all over 1. 2 divided by 1, you guys, that is 2. Horizontal asymptote as y equals 2, which means we won't have a slant. Now, let's go transition over to half-time. So we can factor out a 2 from both terms, you guys, to get x squared minus 1. And we can factor out the bottom by using your guys' x method. Now, up top, we can still factor out using difference of squares. So 2 times x plus 1 times x minus 1 all over x plus 4 times x plus 1. The x plus 1's cancel, so all that remains is 2 times x minus 1 all over x plus 4. Okay, now it's time for the second half. Whole, set what we canceled equals to 0, which was x plus 1. Subtract 1 to both sides, x equals negative 1. Plug this into the reduce to find your guys' y value. So y equals 2 times negative 1 minus 1 all over negative 1 plus 4. 2 times negative 2 all over 3, negative 4 thirds. So we're going to get negative 1 comma negative 4 thirds for the whole. Vertical asymptote, set the denominator equals to 0, which is x plus 4. X equals negative 4 for the vertical asymptote. And for the x-intercept, you guys, set the numerator equals to 0. So 2 cannot equal to 0, so the only thing we have is x minus 1 equals 0, which is x equals 1. 1 comma 0 is your guys' x-intercept. And the last one. So y-intercept, you guys, again, you set x equal to 0. Everywhere you see an x, it becomes a 0. So we really get negative 4 over negative 4, which is 1. So 0 comma 1 is your guys' y-intercept. Horizontal asymptote, because the numerator is bigger than denominator, it is none. And we can't have a slant because it is a the numerator is 1 degree higher than denominator. So x minus 4, x squared minus 4. X times x will give us x squared. So x squared, x times negative 4, negative 4x. We subtract this. Now be careful, right? This cancels, but negative of negative 4x, you guys, is positive 4x. So that cannot combine with this, so just drop it down. 4x minus 4. X could go into 4x 4 times. So slant asymptote is y equals x plus 4. Okay. Sorry, I'm going to have to drag this down a little tad bit. So we got slant asymptote. Oopsies. Now we need to factor out everything to find the second half stuff, right? So this is a difference of squares factoring. X plus 2 times x minus 2 all over x minus 4. Notice nothing cancels, you guys, so we won't have a whole. Vertical asymptote, set the denominator equal to 0. And we get x equals 4. X-intercept, set the numerator, which is x plus 2 times x minus 2, equals to 0. So we really have to solve for two equations, right? X plus 2 equals 0, and x minus 2 equals 0. So we're going to subtract 2 to both sides, x equals negative 2, add 2 to both sides, x equals 2. But remember, x-intercepts are coordinates with a y value of 0. So hopefully this helps you guys out, and again, just keep on going and attacking it, right? Good luck, everyone. Peace.